Everybody's looks just about ready to call this meeting to order. Recording device is in service. So before we have a chairperson and public member, I'm going to today call this meeting to order. The Bartlett's annual Joint Review Board meeting to review our 3 active tax increment financing districts, AKA TIFs. So it's about 2 o'clock now. Looks like we've got lots of representatives here, so why don't we call the meeting to order? Put a check mark next to that. And if you would be so kind to start with the gentleman all the way here representing the township, and go ahead and rest of us. And with the green light on your microphones when you speak.
Thank you. My name is Tom Kutenberg. I'm the Director of Community and Government Relations at Hanover Township.
I'm Sarah Sabo, Deputy Director at the Gale Borden Public Library.
Rita Fletcher, Executive Director, Bartlett Park District.
Bill Gabrenia, Fire Chief, Bartlett Fire District.
Carolyn Nance, Library Director, Bartlett Public Library District.
Christy Stone, Interim Director of Planning and Development Services for the Village of Bartlett.
Brian Mraz, Village Attorney for the Village of Bartlett.
Dr. Ann Williams, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, U46, School District U46.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tony Fradin, and I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the village.
My name is Matt Coulter. I'm the Assistant Finance Director for the Village of Bartlett.
The next order of business here will be to elect a chairperson for this meeting.
No, she's up. I'm up. I'd like to nominate Carolyn Nance from the Bartlett Public Library.
Second.
All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Hey, Tony,
Yes.
do you want South Elgin Fire up here?
I'm sorry?
You want South Elgin Fire District up here?
Oh, yeah, if somebody's here from South Elgin.
Yeah, the Fire Chief just walked in. Come on up, Chief.
Yeah.
Come on up, join us.
Could you sign your name real fast?
Never been here before.
Sorry about that, Tony.
We're with Bartlett Fire. Yeah. And introduce yourself.
We're on Bluff City.
Okay. Mr. Luxinger is here representing the South Elgin Fire District, and I was advised to take a roll call vote on the chairperson. Could you repeat for me who was nominated?
I was Carolyn Nance.
Ms. Nance? Okay. So, we'll take a roll call vote on that, starting with Mr. Luxinger.
Yes.
Ms. Nance?
Yes.
Ms. Fletcher?
Yes.
Ms. Sabo? Mr. Gabrenia?
Yes?
Mr. Kutenberg?
Aye.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Okay. Unanimous. Thank you for chairing this meeting.
So then I can go ahead and start, and
You
we
can
can
take it
go
away. Yep.
to the next order of business, which is the confirmation of public member. Do we have somebody in the audience that is willing to be the public member? Mary Smith, welcome. Thank you. Come on up. Do we have to vote or do anything for that? Yes.
There should be a motion to appoint Mary Smith as the public member.
Make a motion to appoint Mary Smith as the public member of the body.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll go through the roll again. Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Kuchenberg,
Aye.
Ms. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Gabrania,
Yes.
Ms. Fletcher,
Yes.
Ms. Nance,
Yes.
and Mr., is it, again, Luxinger?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Mary.
Thank you for having me.
So the next item on the agenda is the village financial report on the TIF financial activities. Matt Coulter, the Assistant Finance Director, so I will turn the meeting over to you.
Yes, and just for being, for expediency, the way we do this, because we have 3 different TIFs in Bartlett that span all 3 of our counties, we go one by one through the TIFs where we first do the financial report and then I present a development report.
That's because we have some different members on the Joint Review Board that are not on all 3. There are a couple on all 3, but for instance, we have Gale Borden Library District and we have South Elgin Fire Protection District, and they would be voting on one of the 3 TIFs, and that would be the Bluff City TIF District, which is in Kane County.
Okay, so the financials for Brewster Creek, I'm going to be throwing a lot of numbers at you guys. I'm going to probably make you guys dizzy here, but so this is for our fiscal year 2022, which ended April 30th of 2022. And we recently finalized our audit with the auditing firm Lauterbach and Amon. The Brewster Creek TIF is made up of a project fund and a municipal fund. At year-end, total revenues for both funds exceeded total expenditures by $406,627, therefore increasing the combined fund balance by that amount to $5,388,197. Total revenues in the project fund were $8,104,392 and $965,419 in the municipal fund. The majority of the revenues come from property taxes, which totaled $7,716,101. This is an increase of 14% from the prior year. 87.5% of property taxes go to the project fund and 12.5% go to the municipal fund. The remaining revenues for fiscal year 22 were $1,336,000 of developer note proceeds, $1,794 of interest, and $15,916 in sales tax. For the expenditures, the project fund totaled $8,033,594 and $629,590 in the municipal fund. TIF bond payments for principal and interest accounted for 48% of all expenditures, totaling $4,162,040. Developer note payments for principal and interest totaled $2,535,554. The remaining project fund expenditures were for capital outlay, which consisted of $85,960 for wetland mitigation, $773 for roadways, $1,234,532 for earthwork, and $14,735 for site amenities. The expenditures of $629,590 in the municipal fund were for professional services for things such as police patrol, plan review fees, inspections, and marketing. Now on to debt service. At the end of fiscal year 22, the TIF bonds had a balance of $9,275,000. The 2007 TIF bonds had a balance of $2,875,000. And the last payment will be coming up here in January 1st, 2023. The 2016 TIF bonds had a balance of $6,400,000, and the final payment will be on January 1st, 2024. The Developer notes had a balance of $3,217,702. Now for the EAV, the 2021 DuPage County EAV is $83,107,250, which is up $2,707,210 from 2020. The base EAV is $1,793,138. So the total EAV increment in DuPage is $81,314,112. So the total property tax increment that the TIF received was $7,293,550. And as you likely know, Cook County has not come out with their 2021 reports yet. Hopefully that will be published pretty soon here. So I'll just go over the 2020 Cook County EAV, which was $4,732,019, which was up $3,744,612 from 2019. The base EAV was $1,266,078. So for the first time last year, there was EAV increment in the Cook County portion of $3,465,941, which was incremental property tax of $394,216. As we do every year, the village submitted the annual reports for all three TIFs to the Illinois Comptroller. We did this on October 27th. The report will be available on the Comptroller website once that has been approved. And so this TIF is closing this calendar year. The 2022 levy that everyone is probably working on now is the last year that the property tax increment goes to the TIF. The 2023 levy increment will start going to the taxing districts then. And that is it for the financial report for Brewster Creek, unless there are any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? I think that's it, so then we can go ahead and vote on it,
Development,
Either vote on that report.
or wait for the development part?
Or wait till,
yeah.
as we typically have done, I think, is we wait for
Got it.
Mr. Fradin's report then, and then we vote on both of those together. Is
Thank you.
what you've customarily done.
Okay.
So I'll launch into it, and I'll start with a little piece of housekeeping. I'm holding the legal notice that we published in accordance with TIF regulations into the Daily Herald for public notice of this meeting. Also, obviously, you all got the letters we sent, and they were sent to the affected taxing districts in 3 different counties that are represented in our TIFs. And with that, thinking about this report today, this is my 18th joint review board and 18th time talking about Brewster Creek Business Park and thinking about how that's developed over the years. I say it every year and I'll say it again, really the economic engine of the village. Every year here we sit and we talk about the growth in the EAV, and after Matt's report, and I do a little crude, quick number crunching, and when we sat here in 2016, 6 years ago, we were talking about the EAV about 48 million, and I was speculating it would go over 50. And so every year it's kind of gone up and up and up. It's 81% up in 6 years. And also, as he mentioned, the Cook County area hasn't been fully assessed yet, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And when these 3 buildings in Cook County are fully assessed, I mean, these are some major, major buildings. So with that, I'll go into some finer detail into what's happened in that business park development-wise since we sat here last fall. As I said, it's still the economic engine of the village with over 75 businesses, really approaching 80 in 48 buildings with over 5 million square feet. Once again, I'll remind you the numbers of businesses is much higher, of course, than the number of buildings, because when the business park started developing, there were a lot of condominium units. and you would see these buildings with 8 or 10 units in them, and they would be various contractors. So of course, and there's still other multi-tenant buildings that are much larger, but that's the main reason there's so many more, there's about 30 more businesses there than there are buildings, because there's a lot of multi-tenant buildings out there. The growth has been continual, and it hasn't stopped in the last year. Last year, I sat here talking about another spec building we were working on in the Cook County portion. It was right after the first Cook County building was completed, and it was through one of those long site selection processes that ultimately resulted in McKesson's, one of their large Midwest distribution centers, locating here in the Cook County portion. The village and county granted a 6B to help attract that huge project. A year ago, we had another similar sized building underway. Of course, that's been finished since then, and that building we were hoping would fully lease to one single user, and it did. There's a company in there now, it's been there for a few months, called Colony Display Company. And just last week, we had a groundbreaking for another similarly sized building, a 400,000 square foot spec building. And this building is by another institutional investor called Midwest Industrial Funds. They're just really, Ms. Stone informed me today that they're pursuing their permits and getting ready to start development of that, and it's already drawn interest. So even after the TIF is closed, as Mr. Coulter mentioned, we'll have most likely another single tenant user in a gigantic building in our Cook County portion, hopefully by this time next year. So that's one of the big projects that we have right now on our board. There's another one with one of our existing real strong companies. You're all most likely aware of our strong food cluster that we have. I always like to say that a lot of the food that people eat in the Chicago area, at some point, it's in Bartlett at some point before it gets distributed to a restaurant or a grocery store. And Get Fresh Produce is one of those companies, and they are in for permit for a second building. They expanded quite rapidly. They're very successful. Their customers kind of comprise a list of the who's who in the restaurant industry in the Chicago area, to the point where they have really outgrown their facility, require additional parking, and our staff and our village has been working with them for quite a few years in an effort to get them to build a second building. So again, that's another one that we have in the works, 151,000 square feet. And then addressing this a little bit to Mr. Gabrania, we had a massive fire in Brewster Creek Business Park that you all know about, and a business there called Access burned to the ground and raged for several days. And the site is also on our development radar. We've had some meetings and correspondences with the owner. It's still a great site in a great business park, and they have plans subject to change. I'm going to put an asterisk next to that, but the last conversation I had with the owner of that property, they indicated that it's their intention to rebuild in 2023 a 95,000 square foot building, which is slightly larger than the building that had been there, a 32-foot high building, which would actually be 8 feet lower than the building that was there, but with more docks, probably to serve what a lot of the businesses coming in there are what we call last mile facilities, warehouses and distribution centers where they want to store goods. So when people order them on their phones or online, they get delivered very quickly. So that'll most likely end up another one of those types of facilities. That's not all, that's most of what's going on in the park. There's a few infill sites left along Hart Circle. These are some of the smaller sites where maybe a 40, 50, or 60,000 square foot building could fit, but there are really only a few of those left. I know last year I said, the business park was around 80% built out. I don't have an exact percentage, it depends on lots and building size, but you could say it's higher than that now, 85, 90% built out, but there's still gonna be some more. Post-TIF, there will still be some new buildings coming in. Hopefully I didn't really miss anything in terms of the development status, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the development side of Brewster Creek Business Park.
I think we should entertain a motion to approve of both the financial report and the TIF report for the Brewster Creek Business Park. It's actually called the Bartlett Quarry TIF. So if that, someone would want to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. I'll take roll. This is just for posterity. This is not including the two Kane County taxing bodies. This is in Cook and DuPage. So Dr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kutenberg,
Aye.
Ms. Nance,
Yes.
Mr. Gabrania,
Yes.
Ms. Fletcher,
Yes.
last but not least, Ms. Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now for the financials for the Route 59 and Lake Street TIF. This will be a much shorter financial report. Fiscal year end 4/30/22, the fund balance still remains at $0. Revenues for the year consisted of a transfer in from the village's developer deposits fund in the amount of $2,592. This transfer was to cover the expenditures for the year, which consisted of a $2,592 interest payment to the developer deposits fund. When the TIF was created, the village loaned the TIF $2,814,078 from other funds. The advanced funds were used to purchase land and for professional services related to the creation of the TIF. At 4/30/22, the balance of the loan was $3,704,651. As far as the EAV, again, the Cook data isn't out yet, so I'll quickly go over the 2020 EAV. So the 2020 EAV was $1,357,886, which was up $143,462 from 2019. The base EAV for the TIF district was $1,546,139. So there was still no property tax increment at that point. And that is it for the finances for 59 and Lake. Is there any questions?
Okay, I'll launch into the development side of it, or as I've said for many years, the lack of development side of it over there. We've had a lot of false starts. This TIF has been around for a while, since about this time of year in 2004, it was adopted. For many years, what we sought to attract was retail development, and we had, over a period of years, probably 3 different or 4 retail developers looking at building shopping centers anywhere from 150,000 to 400,000 square feet. I'll spare the long story of how the retail landscape has changed over the years, but suffice it to say that without firm commitments from anchor tenants, those projects either fell through or really didn't proceed for a variety of factors. After that, we spent quite a number of years engaging with various residential developers, some people who years ago looked at doing, I spoke here about doing a very high-end apartment project spanning these properties in addition to some others to the west of it years ago that fell through. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we started working with a different apartment developer who actually had the village property under contract for a number of years, but that also fell through. But finally, I have some positive news about development in that area that we feel a high level of confidence about is working with the Bob LaQuercio Auto Group on a project for 2 auto dealerships where the buildings would actually be located west of where the TIF is at a former RV location. But we've entered into a contract with the auto group for them to be able to showcase their vehicles on the village property there at the southwest corner, which is within the TIF. So there will be improvements made, obviously, to that land. You heard Mr. Coulter detail how the EAV here, 18 years later, after the TIF was formed, is lower value than it was 18 years ago. Again, I'll say like I do every year, the same blighting factors that existed in the TIF report years ago in terms of accessibility and drainage and some of the issues with the land itself over there are still true today. It's been a very, very challenging site to attract development to, but we spent quite a bit of time working closely with the automotive group, came up with an incentive package in an effort to attract it to this site. And so we hope to happily next year be talking about how that project is in progress. Again, it's not, the land's not going to be, have a lot of buildings on it, but the value of it will certainly be increased, and we wouldn't have been able to attract the auto dealerships without being able to make this land available. So there is some development of that site on the horizon, and hopefully will be, that land will start trending in the positive direction in terms of equalized assessed value. I anticipate that it will. And again, the clock's ticking on this TIF also. So it's just got a limited amount of years. It was adopted in late 2004, so it runs through 2027. And if there's any questions about that aspect of it, I'd be glad to answer.
I just have one quick question. Does it stop at 59, or does it go farther down Lake Street on 59 going east?
I'm sorry, does the TIF go further east
Yeah.
than Route 59?
Yeah.
It does not.
Okay, I just want clarification.
No,
I
it's-
saw a for sale sign off on Lake Street, so I was just curious. Thank you.
Question. It's just at the southwest corner. Yeah.
So then I think we would need a motion to approve the financial and the development report for the Bluff City TIF.
No, that one is
That's the 50.
Route 59 and Lake Street.
Second one.
Oh, sorry, Route 59 and Lake Street.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Start with Ms. Stone.
Yes?
Ms. Fletcher.
Yes.
Mr. Kutenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Gabrania.
Yes.
Ms. Nance.
Yes.
Dr. Williams.
Yes.
And Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right, so now we're on to the Bluff City TIF. Bluff City is made up of a project fund and a municipal fund. At fiscal year '22 year end, total revenues for both funds exceeded total expenditures by $52,331, therefore increasing their combined fund balance from $126,031 to $178,362. Bluff City TIF revenue totaled $2,238,986 and consisted of property tax, developer note proceeds, and interest earned. Property tax revenue for the year totaled $869,632, which is up $284,892, or 48.7% from the prior year. 94% of the property taxes go to the project fund and 6% to the municipal fund. The remaining revenue consisted of $1,369,200 of developer note proceeds and $154 in interest. Expenditures for fiscal year '22 totaled $2,186,655. The breakdown of this is $50,110 for engineering, $1,124,965 for earthwork, $134,754 for road improvements, $55,760 for public infrastructure, and $3,611 for streetscape improvements. And then there was a $817,455 payment for developer note interest. There haven't been any principal payments made on the developer note and won't be until there's enough incremental property tax revenue to do so. So the outstanding balance of the 2009 developer note is $10,548,210. The 2021 EAV for the district is $14,230,321, which is up $6,111,337 from 2020. The base EAV is $1,634,804, which leaves $12,595,517 as EAV TIF increment. That's it for the finances, unless there's any questions.
Just a quick question on the anticipated growth for this TIF. I know we are a little bit more than halfway through the 23-year period. Do you expect the same level of growth or a similar level of growth that you had for the first TIF we discussed, the Brewster Creek?
Well, I think maybe I'll field that along with the development report, but in a word, yes. I mean, it's not nearly the same size as Brewster Creek, so one of the reasons the growth there has been so incredibly dramatic is due to the sheer size of it. The business park itself is over 600 acres, and about 450 acres of it is available for development, whereas this is about less, like maybe a third of that size. But thanks for the segue into my report, because I had the pleasure of working on this TIF when it was first started in 2009. So I was just looking and calculating that we're 13 years into it already, with about 10 more years. And I also remember sitting here for years and years just talking about roads and earthwork, and that in a few more years we'll start getting buildings, in a few more years. And then once the buildings started coming 6 or 7 years ago, they just kind of keep coming at this point. So we happen to have the two largest sign companies probably in the state. We're like the first two businesses there. Also, I want to add, this is in our Kane County portion for the library and the South Elgin Fire Protection. This is in their area. So two of the first businesses we attracted there were large sign companies. And one of the reasons for that is because this TIF has a much wider latitude of land uses allowable. My old boss, Jim, who helped form this TIF, would joke with some businesses that weren't allowed in Brewster Creek, we would urge them to pursue sites at Bluff City, and we still do that. So there's businesses there that are more intensive land use. They have acres of outdoor storage. You'll see hundreds of thousands of signs stored outside at these two companies along with their vehicles. So there's a lot of growth in that area, but it's not going to continue. It can't possibly grow as large as Brewster Creek. But in the past couple of years, we've had Elgin Beverage move in, which we did ask them to rename it Bartlett Beverage, but they were over 90 years old, so they didn't change their name. But anytime you see a Elgin Beverage truck, you should know they're located in Bartlett. We have Cathay Industries. We attracted a business from China that does pigments, that designs and sells pigments to plastics companies and of that nature. We have, there's a day school out there, and a landscaping business had opened already probably about a year ago. One of the exciting things that we had there that I was just talking about last year but was in the works was our first retail or commercial project right on the corner. The developer, it's called True North, but they do business as a Shell station. It's the village's first diesel fuel stop, and everything that goes along with that on a 3.2 acre site. They've been open for, I think, nearly a year at this point. Other projects that we're working on currently, including one of those that I mentioned might be most appropriate for that area, is a large self-storage facility that's going to be building a 104,000 square foot facility on Miles Parkway, a 2-story self-storage facility. Another project that's in the pipeline out that way, we have a groundbreaking for this coming Monday, is a speculative building at 475 Miles Parkway, a 98,000 square foot building. We haven't really had speculative buildings out that way. They've mostly been build-to-suit scenarios where a company comes in, like Elgin Beverage, and build something according to their needs. But this is going to be a speculative, I think really our first speculative building out there. And then another piece of news that we hope comes to fruition that we can report some progress on by next year is we're working with a commercial retail type developer who has plans on building a strip center out that way. You all know that's on the far west end of town, and a lot of residents out that way for many years have been looking for some retail and shopping opportunities out there a little closer to home. So that's what I'm saying at this meeting. We hope to really report some solid progress on that by next year. And I can certainly tell you the developer has very strong intentions to do it. And by my understanding, he's purchased and closed on the property. So we believe it's going to move forward. So that's my development report, kind of a long answer of your question. But as Brewster Creek approaches build out, and I still get a lot of inquiries for people looking for industrial space, we do point them out in that direction. But one thing I do want to add to that is 100,000 is probably about the biggest building you'll see out there. So the people who come looking for 200, 300, 400, those aren't going to fit over there. The sites available are more like 3 acres to 7 or 8 or something like that. They're not gigantic 30-acre sites like we were talking about the Cook County portion of Brewster Creek. Any other questions about the ongoing economic development of that business park?
Nope. So I think at this point, we would need a motion to approve the financial report and the development report for the Bluff City TIF.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and bear with me while I try to get the right taxing bodies. So, Ms. Fletcher?
Second. I was the second. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, you're voting yes.
You would vote for it, okay. Mr. Luxinger?
Yes.
Ms. Sabo?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And last but not least again, Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So moving on to the next item on the agenda, is there any other business? Hearing none, can I ask for somebody to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
And so the meeting is adjourned?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Kuchenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Gabrania?
Yes.
Ms. Sabo?
Yes.
Ms. Fletcher?
Yes.
Ms. Nance?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Luxinger?
And so now the meeting is officially
It's
adjourned.
officially adjourned.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna